The way to the heart is through the astral, and the way to the astral is through the heart. These are teachings from KS, Keylontic Science, that we are taught to always be aware of opening your heart. These are some very extremely first-hand, difficult lessons to obtain in life. And I'm still learning them. It's going to keep going. You think that you've gotten somewhere, and then you discover some more. You take a few more steps back, and you can see more. So right now, what I'm coming out of personally is the false light, Shona light of false hope, and how that is being used right now, I believe, is being used to lure a lot of people in, including KSers in the group, of promises that are not being kept. All of these reports of arrests, of corruption, of draining the swamp, of this and that, the political stuff. Not all political. It's a frequency. The political spectrum is just outpicturing a frequency. That's all it is. And when we place ourselves in these boxes, it feels like that's all there is, and this is all that's happening. But there's so much more that's happening behind the scenes and behind the boxes, behind the puppet boxes. I was just thinking of a little puppet. I forget what they call them. These little things with the curtains on them that you do a puppet show on. And I bought one for my daughter a long time ago when she was little for her birthday. She used to love little puppets and stuff. But it's happening to us, we're getting pulled on emotionally. Our hearts are getting pulled on by these promises that are not being kept, and by all these subjects of human trafficking, of there's indictments, and there's going to be arrests, and this is going to happen on this date, this is about to happen, this is about to happen. And it's such an anticipation of it's not, I don't know what the word would be to describe the feeding that happens during that, but it's not louche. It's a different energy than louche, because it's not fear. It's anticipation. It's being left hanging over and over and over. And to me personally, that's a Mobius time wave. When you're being promised something over and over and it's not happening. It's an externalization of a miasm. And I'm getting out of it. I'm seeing others still in it. The QAnon and all these different movements of intel from the inside, and this is, firsthand, a whistleblower, or this and that, whoever. All these sources that are close to what's happening that continuously are dragging these people around. And, it's the big event consciousness is what I call it. The big event. People waiting for the big event. And the big event isn't going to ever happen. It's, I think some of it is tethered to Jesus' return, the second coming stuff. We're heavily encrypted with that. Especially in our society, in the States here. A lot of us grew up Christian, and it's kind of a Christian country. It's changing a lot right now, the encryption stuff, but there's not going to be a big event other than your own big event, of discovering who you are. That's the big event. That's the big events that are taking place, is self-healing, self-discovery, self-realizations. That's all that's going to happen. And I've been in this stuff for years, going way back, and there's many different colors to this, many different portrayals of this miasm of the big event. And right now it's really taking on a lot of political spectrum. a lot of political colors. And I think there's energies that are conscious of the game that's being played. Other energies may not be as conscious that are utilizing it in the political scene and other scenes, and are being used themselves as tools. But it's a feeding. It's a feeding. It's happening when people are just left on pause over and over and over and promise these big events over and over, or even not even promising a big event, but saying it is happening when you have absolutely no idea if it's happening. That's my big thing. Is like, that's where I got fed up. Was, you know what? I don't have any idea if this is really happening or not. This is one person sharing what another person says. It's, you know, somebody that's supposed to, and maybe they are validated. Maybe they do have credentials. Maybe they do have documents showing who they are. Do you still know? Would you know even if they're quote unquote validated for you of who they are in their position to know? You don't. That's what it comes down to. We don't know. And what's happening in the meantime? What's happening meanwhile with your energy and your emotions? I paused, I stopped, and I started looking at that, at what's happening. Where am I going? My energy. Where's my energy going? I paused and started to look at myself, and then I started noticing others immersed in these big event scenarios, and a wide range of subjects. You know, this goes way back from when I first came in. I was just fascinated with this big event consciousness stuff, you know, of disclosure, and it was Sheldon Idle, you know, the galactic updates, I don't know if it's Federation, galactic something, and this is all changing for you humans right now with the money system, and everything is being changed from the guardians that are on planet and doing this and that. You know, I was in that consciousness for a while, and I felt like I evolved out of it. But you know what? It takes on many different shades, many different subject matters, many different facets of our life that it's played into, and all of this is the same. All of it is a feeding that's happening right now. What does it have to do with your own self-healing of what's really happening? It's given you a sense of hope. A sense of hope that you don't know is real hope. And I won't even call it false hope, but I will say that you don't know that it's real hope. And you have part of your quantum that is not stable in that. It's not stabilized. It's not anchored. It's not grounded. And I think that's exactly what some energies present are wanting us to be like, is kind of floaty and, you know, oh, I heard this, I heard that, and not having any real sense of stability with these storylines, which will eventually merge into your own fields and into your own storyline. And that instability will start to outpicture in your own storyline. So I'm done with it, man. I'm done with the big event stuff. I've got my own big events inside my own DNA. It's called junk DNA. That's my big event that I'm fascinated with. I don't let it just be known that I don't want to hear about any big events on my wall, or I'm not fascinated with it anymore, you know? And it's I really think it's just a big show. It's just a big show, and Hollywood loves to do Hollywood stuff, and there may be more of Hollywood involved in this stuff than just the Democratic Party or whatever, or this and that. It's all a big show, is what I'm starting to see, like all of it. And we've really got to start to be aware of that if we're on a self-healing path for ourselves, you know, trying to heal ourselves. What is that? What does this big show have to do with us? Yeah, there's some decisions being made that are obviously affecting our lives, and, you know, there's going to be some collective outpicturing of our collective decisions throughout history and how we've gotten here. But how does that really change? How does it really change? It always changes from within, always. Always from you first, always. That's step one, is you first. And there's just a lot of them first right now and what they are doing. And believe me, I just got out of it. I was in it over the whole election period this time. I've never been that absorbed in an election before. And I was posting videos, I was making posts and talking about it, and just right there in that split mind stuff, you know. I don't have any ego about it. I can come clean when I'm wrong to that degree of something, you know. That's out there. I was really getting vocal about it. And you have to stop and look at yourself and kind of backtrack and see where that passage was that you got lost in this whole show of their show. And it was through the heart. It was always through the heart, always. That's the entry point from the astral right now. And what's happening in the astral right now is a mixture of things. There's intervention taking place, but there's a whole lot of other stuff happening in the astral right now, which is kind of, you know, that, I don't know. I try to think of how to explain this to people that aren't KS, that may or may not be watching this, and just to try to have a more bridge of consciousness. I would say that it's kind of the place before things manifest, you know. Before I came into KS, that's how I understood it. The astral was like your thought forms, your things that are starting to build and starting to conceptualize and gel. That's the level that we're being tampered with. That would be called the epigenetic level of the DNA, I believe. And there's just so much going on. And that's the epigenetic is what sends the signals to the DNA to do things. It programs it. So for whoever can hear it, you know, who's still in it, I don't know. That's what this video is for. I was just talking with, man, I hope you don't mind me mentioning your name, Shu, but I'm going to mention it. Shu Wong is the man. He's inspired some really insightful, just a lot of things for me just spark off sometimes in our conversation. We've been talking all day, and he brought this subject up, and I was like, oh my God, it's right there in front of you. It's one of those things, you know, false hope. How else, what else would they have left to try to manipulate people with on a mass level, but through the heart, you know, through the human heart? And that's about as low as you can go. So once it's exposed, you see it, and you get a little more cautious. I'm teaching my daughter this right now too. I think I birthed into this world not knowing that there's people out there that are heartless, and that you need to understand, and maybe not completely all the way heartless in this facet of thinking, but have become heartless, and their actions have become heartless and manipulative through the heart, and manipulating people through the heart, maybe not even being consciously aware of it. And you have to learn to dim your heart. You have to learn to turn it down a few octaves in your language of the heart with others. Now, maybe there's a method and a technique where you don't really have to do that to yourself, but you can, when you're talking heart language to people, tone it down a few notches, you know? That's taken me a long time to learn, and now I find myself teaching my own daughter these lessons. She's wanting these lessons also. Don't overextend yourself. That's where all of these lessons started, was overextending myself, martyrdom. you know. And that's where I believe is where a lot of manipulation's taking place on a larger scale right now, is the false hope. So for whatever it's worth, you know, I had to get it out, make this video, and thank you, Shu, for the inspirations. Always appreciate you, brother.